On July 17th, there's going to be a monumental change happening as the North Node moves from Taurus to Aries. And this is going to create a square with the new moon in Cancer. And that's going to be in opposition to Pluto in Capricorn. This formation is going to create the granddaddy of all Grand Crosses. I'm Nancy, and this is Rise Higher Astrology. And today we're going to be talking about this Cardinal Grand Cross happening at 29 degrees and how it's going to affect you based on your rising sign. I'm going to break it all down, and then I'm going to show you how this works in my own birth chart. So first, I just want to say how special this astrological event truly is. To have the nodes involved with the Grand Cross at 29 degrees with a new moon. Now, the new moon will occur at 24 degrees of Cancer, but several hours later, it will climb to the 29th degree. 29 is a fated karmic number, and in numerology, it reduces down to an 11, which is a master number. Number 11 is the most intuitive, and it represents a channel to the subconscious. It also symbolizes the potential to push the human experience to the highest spiritual perception. It's a link between darkness and light, and mortality and immortality. Now, this Cardinal Grand Cross is going to be life-changing for a lot of us. It's the ending of one era and the beginning of another. The North Node and South Node theme for the next year and a half is the activation of me versus we. And on the other side of this Grand Cross, we have Pluto and Capricorn pushing and pulling against the new moon in Cancer. This scenario is causing us to ask ourselves, how do we let go of old paradigms and have a new beginning, leaving behind all of our harmful relationships and patterns, but doing it in a way that's caring and is in everyone's best interest? This is going to be a big balancing act. But the Grand Cross isn't going to be perfect for long, as the moon will quickly move into the sign of Leo, and it's going to break that formation, leaving behind a T-square between the nodes and Pluto, which is still a challenging aspect. So where in your birth chart will this Grand Cross fall, and how do you handle it? Well, if your rising sign is a cardinal sign, Aries rising, Libra rising, Cancer, or Capricorn rising, this Grand Cross is going to affect you the most because it's landing in all of your angular houses. So yes, if your natal sun is in a cardinal sign, or if you have a stellium in any of these signs in your birth chart, you'll certainly feel it. But having the Grand Cross lining up with your angular houses is pretty profound. The angular houses essentially make up the structural foundation of who we are, what we've become since birth. It's the house of self, the house of the other, which is represented by the descendant, the house of our roots and family, which is represented by the IC, and then the house of career and public image, which is the MC. So all of the eclipses for the next year and a half, except for two of them, will either be conjunct, square, or in opposition to your angular houses. These aspects are drivers in your chart, and they bring about the most change in your life, especially the squares, the square aspects, the 90-degree patterns. Now, if your rising sign is an immutable sign, Pisces rising, Virgo rising, Gemini, or Sagittarius rising, this Grand Cross will fall in your succedent houses. That would be the 2nd, 5th, 8th, and the 11th. These parts of your chart are more stable, and they are meant to support the angular houses. The 2nd house of personal income, the 5th house of romance and self-expression, creativity, the 8th house of shared resources and everything behind closed doors, and the 11th house of friendships, the collective, and financial gains. It's also the house of hopes and dreams. So if you have stability in these houses in the current moment, work with your Grand Cross to bring in more stability. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. And if you don't have stability, work with the Grand Cross to create the abundance and structure that you need. If your rising sign is in any of the fixed signs, Leo, Aquarius, Taurus, or Scorpio, then the Grand Cross falls in your cadent houses. This will be in your 3rd, 6th, 9th, and in your 12th. Now, these houses are all about gathering information. 3rd house has to do with learning and communication. The 6th house is about learning through trial and error and accumulating information from the results. The 9th house is about how you perceive the information and your philosophy. The 12th house has to do with gathering information using your intuition or receiving information from spirit or source. So during this period, you may find yourself to be more intuitive than usual, or you may suddenly have the desire to try new things or go back to school. In all 3 of these modalities, the overall theme of this Cardinal Grand Cross is starting a new chapter in your life, but not before you finish or let go of something that you might have been putting off. So I want to share my chart with you to see how this looks for me. So I'm a Virgo rising. So the cross formation is in my 2nd, 8th, 5th, and 11th houses. These are the succeedent houses, but they also are the houses of income, stability, creativity, the collective, and hopes and dreams. The new moon is being activated in my 11th house, which in my chart is ruled by Cancer, and Cancer is ruled by the moon. So the moon is in its domicile during this transit, and it makes the energy more of a favorable one because the moon likes to be in Cancer. It's where it feels the most at home. This new moon is also conjunct my natal sun as well as my natal Venus. So yes, my birthday is about a week away, so you can see that I'm close to having my solar return here. And you can also see in my natal chart that both my Sun and Venus create a trine pattern with my natal Jupiter. So since the new moon is conjunct my Venus and my Sun, this trine pattern will be activated. In addition to that, you can see that there's also a grand water trine that has been formed with transiting Neptune. So that will be activated as well. And according to astrologer, the great astrologer Carol Rushman, anytime a lunation, which is a new moon, full moon, or eclipse, which is also a new and full moon, just on a higher level, anytime that's activated, and it creates a grand trine in the birth chart, you can expect a gift to materialize in the next 6 months to a year. And this is really good news. But I also want you to check out another pattern that's being set off by this lunation, and that is my natal sun opposition Pluto. Now, of course, Pluto is a part of this Grand Cross, so this is a major theme for me that has to be dealt with as soon as I can. I've been seeing this pattern in my solar returns as well, so this is top priority. What Pluto opposition Sun means is that it's going to take everything that's in me to change the self-defeating thoughts that I've grown accustomed to. I must realize that I am worthy and that I am enough. For decades, I put myself last. I put everyone else's needs before mine. And because of that, my finances aren't where they should or need to be. So Pluto is right there saying that I can't move forward into this new era until I release the relationships and the narratives in my mind that tell me that I'm not enough. Aries North Node in my 8th house is echoing this. And, my Aries in my 8th house is ruled by Mars. And where is Mars in my birth chart? It's in my 6th house, the house of habits and health and work schedules and routines. I have to tweak those. I have to get more sleep. I haven't been sleeping well. I have to learn to delegate responsibly. I have to form better work habits and really lean into the self-care. So once the new moon transits through this Grand Cross pattern, we're left with a T-square between the nodes and Pluto. So how can this challenging pattern be solved? And to solve it, we just look to where the missing planet is in the T-square. Look at what zodiac sign and house is there. So I looked at Cancer for answers, and I see Venus there. Venus will be retrograde in a few days, and that's all about self-care, self-love. Cancer is about nurturing yourself. If you've ever been on an airplane, the flight attendant tells you during the pre-flight instructions that in the event of an emergency, put the oxygen mask on yourself before helping others. This is exactly what Cancer is telling me to do in this situation. In order for me to help the collective, I need to help myself first. I need to take care of myself. So go ahead and pull out your own birth chart and analyze where this Grand Cross is going to land for you. And also, don't forget that within 24 hours after this new moon is activated, write down a wish, a new goal, set some new intentions. They must be handwritten, and then see what comes your way in the next 6 months. Okay? I have a lot that I will be covering in the next few days with you about more astrological events, specifically the one with Venus going retrograde and Mars going into Virgo, which it is right now. Have a wonderful day.